Today is another day that the Lord has made. Today we are also going to continue with our lesson. Today I want us to talk about air and water. So we are going to talk about air and water. These are basic components of life. You can't survive without air and you can't survive without water. So water and air are very important. Okay, they are very precious to life. So today we are going to talk about that. So first of all, we will look at human activities that destroys. We also talk about human activities that destroys the air and water. But first of all, I want us to look at some basic truth about air and water. Do you know that air is a layer around the earth? So when we talk about air, is the layer around what? The earth. And we also know that air is a mixture of what? Gases. And air contains 78% of nitrogen. It contains 21% of oxygen, then 1% of other gases, which includes carbon dioxide. Okay, so this layer of the earth, around the earth is called atmosphere. Okay, so I want us to continue. Just as matter, air has weight and can occupy space. Air has weight and can occupy space. Remember that when we were looking at matter, we spoke about the state of matter. And I made you to understand that we have three states of matter. We have solid, liquid, and gas. We looked at these three states of matter. We were made to understand that these three states of matter have different force of attraction acting it. With the solid, okay, with the solid state, we were made to understand that solid have a very stronger force of attraction between its molecules, and because of that, it is very difficult for it to move. And liquid has a higher, a relative strong force of attraction between its molecules. But when we look at the gas or gaseous molecules, they have a very loose or weak force of attraction, and because of that, gases move faster, okay, than the other states of matter. So gases move faster than the other states of matter, and because of the force of attraction between them, gases are easily compressed as compared to the others. Yeah, they are easily compressed. So let us proceed. So like I said, air has weight and occupies space. It means air has space and it has space and also has that weight because volume is the space occupied by what? A matter. Water is the most important liquid on earth. So water is the most important liquid on earth. So like I'm saying, without water, you can't survive. The other liquid like petrol, diesel, these are very important. But ask yourself, we can live without petrol and kerosene. Yeah, at first when there was no electricity, there was no car, we were surviving. Okay, so we can survive without um the crude oil, liquid, sorry, petrol, kerosene, and the likes, even though they are very important. But water is the most important liquid on earth. All plants and animals need water to survive. Okay, so our lives depends on what? Water. So I like how people put it. Water is life. Okay, water is life. If you don't have water, it means you don't have life in you. All plants and animals, like I said, we need water to what? To survive. Water covers almost 70% of what? The Earth's surface. Water, it consists of what? 70%. It covers 70% of what? The Earth's surface. So look at how important water is. Look at this Earth planet. You realize that it contains 70% of what? Water. So water is very, very important. Okay. So it appears in the form of lakes, river, ocean, and sea. Okay. But very little of this water is safe for drinking. Yeah, very few of this water is safe for drinking. Like you have the sea and ocean. You know this that it is very, very we all know that ocean and sea is very, very important and serve as a habitat for other organisms. But we human beings, we rarely use what these oceans, water from these ocean or sea. So that's the reason I said very little of this water is safe for drinking. So we want to look at good drinking water, quality water. Okay, our life is very precious. Many people have contracted certain diseases or they become sick or they are weak because they drank an unhealthy water. Yeah, so it is very important for us to drink good and quality water. So we want to look at what this good drinking water is. Okay, by now you must be aware of the fact that you have to drink good water that is safe, clean, and what healthy. We've already heard this that we have to drink this water. So we want to look at the qualities of what this water. Which water are you expected to drink? So first of all, we are going to take them one by one. We will look at the alkaline pH. Okay, the alkaline pH. The pH. Good drinking water should have it should fall between a pH of 7 and 9.5. 7 and 9.5. You all know that 7 is neutral in a pH scale. Okay, less than that means the solution is acidic, and more than that means it is what alkaline, it is basic. Okay, so water should have an alkaline pH between 7 and what 9.5, and it should contain no toxin or no dirt. Water should contain no dirt. Okay, it shouldn't have any dirt in it. Okay, so it should be dirt free or contaminant what free. The next one is that mineral rich. It should be rich in useful minerals. Water should be rich in useful minerals. Then in regards to taste and color, water should be tasteless and colorless. So good drinking water is tasteless, and it is what waterless. It is tasteless and colorless. Okay, and it should be odorless. Odorless means it must not have any smell in it. You shouldn't smell any bad scent around it. Now let us look at the negative effects of drinking unsafe water. Okay, what are the effects it will have on you? Okay, so we are going to look at the dangers of drinking unsafe water. So many waterborne diseases are caused if we drink unhealthy or polluted water. So you are saying that we can get waterborne disease if we drink water which is full of impurities, which has bacteria and other microorganisms in it. It is very, very bad. It can cause many types of disease like diarrhea. Okay, so it means that you pass out a lot of watery stools. Yeah, and this is because you've been drinking what contaminated water. Examples of these contaminated or waterborne disease are cholera. Okay, it's a form of diarrhea. Yeah, it's caused by Vibrio cholerae. Okay, most of it is caused by drinking polluted water or food. So you have to make sure that you are drinking a good and quality water which is devoid of what impurities. So let's proceed. So contaminated water can cause serious, very complicated issues like guinea worm infections. Okay, guinea worm infection. But now, because of some of the measures put in place by WHO and many nations, we've been able to eradicate guinea worm. So, for example, in Ghana, we've been able to eradicate it. So guinea worm is also as a result, it also occurs as a result of what? Drinking or drinking unsafe water. You can also get typhoid. Typhoid is also caused by Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi is a bacteria. Okay, it's a bacteria which also causes illness in people. It causes typhoid in people. If you don't want to get typhoid, typhoid is a very, very bad disease, just like cholera. So if you want to stay away from all these diseases, then it means that you have to drink good and quality water. Okay. Drinking unsafe water can cause skin rashes and vomiting. So if you drink unsafe water, you are likely to get some rashes on your skin and you'll be vomiting. Okay. So you'll be vomiting a lot. You also be passing out watery stools. You'll be defecating a lot. Okay, so it is very, very important for us to be mindful of the water we drink. Not only that, even the ones we bath our body with too, we have to be careful about it. We have to ensure that we are using the right water. So let us continue. We are going to look at some human activities that destroys the environment, especially water bodies. Human activities that destroy water bodies. Like I said, water is life, and water is very precious to mankind, and even other living organisms like plants and animals. Because of that, we have to be we have to take good care of water. Okay, good care of how we handle water, and we should desist from certain activities. So I want us to look at these activities that pollute our water bodies. Remember, when we talk about water bodies, we are looking at sea, lake, seas, lake, and rivers, okay, and streams. So some of the human activities that destroys our water bodies are, first of all, deforestation. So deforestation is the first one. Deforestation. So when we talk about deforestation, what is deforestation? Deforestation is the cutting down of trees. You are falling down trees without replacing them. Okay. People, because of greed, they've been falling down most of our trees. Okay. And this is affecting us. It leads to water pollution. Okay. So clearing land for agriculture and urban growth often leads to water pollution. So when the soil is stripped of its protective vegetation, it becomes prone to what? Soil erosion. Okay. And this leads to an increase in murkiness of water bodies. Okay. So this is the reason why we should always encourage afforestation. So afforestation is the opposite of deforestation. Yeah, so for afforestation, you are planting more trees. We are planting more trees. So we are planting trees to replace what? The lost ones or the ones that are cut. Now, let's move to the second option, mining. Okay. If you come to Ghana, you realize that most of our water bodies are being destroyed due to illegal mining. In short, we call it galamsey. So galamsey or illegal mining is destroying our water bodies. So mining produce waste that can increase the amount of minerals and salty water bodies, and it can also increase the pH. Okay, the pH level of water bodies. Some people use chemicals like mercury and other dangerous chemicals when they are mining, and this affects water bodies a lot. It also affects some of the living organisms living in these water bodies. Yeah, so mining is one of the cause of water pollution in Ghana. It's the major cause of water pollution in Ghana. Now let's talk about some other farming activities that destroys the water bodies. So you are saying that farming activities increase soil erosion due to the physical disturbance of soil and vegetation. So we have some activities like overgrazing, allowing cattle to graze on a land. So it allows the the soil to be exposed to water. Yeah. So when there is a heavy rainfall, this running water it carry along many topsoil, and this end up polluting what our water body. So it is very very bad, and we should be looking at all these things. So like I said, due to this process that is in overgrazing, these activities, the topsoil is usually washed into water bodies, and this pollute it. This affects the amount of salt and minerals in the water bodies. It increase in nutrients due to fertilizers and animal excreta contribute to worrying amount of nitrates and sulfate to water supply. So we are saying that because most of farmers use fertilizers, okay, in their crops, and so when this overgrazing and other farming activities is allowed to happen or occur in their land, the topsoil the topsoil is usually washed by running waters into the water bodies, and it affects the water bodies a lot. So it carries some of the fertilizers, and it end up polluting what our water bodies. So we want to look at untreated sewage from homes. Untreated sewage from homes. There are a lot of people they defecate around. Okay, even in this modern world, the people still what defecate around. Open defecation. It's ongoing. It's ongoing, and we should put a stop to it. It's a habit that we should stop. We shouldn't encourage people to do. And it shocked me a lot that despite all the public education that has been done on open defecation, people go on to what practice these activities. It's very bad. So it seems that we have to still encourage our friends to put a stop to it. So wastewater containing human excreta is carried into is carried in sewers, okay, or underground pipes called sewage. And in many places, untreated sewage from homes is dumped into rivers. This is very bad. You go to other areas, they connect their refuse, their toilets, their sewage. Okay, they connect it into river bodies. So it's not a shock that people there will be experiencing cholera outbreak. So let's proceed. So like I'm saying, some of these sewages contain microorganisms that are very harmful and may cause serious disease in people. So this situation can cause an outbreak of disease like cholera and even typhoid. Yeah, and even um, other diseases that we get them from what I think fecal oral disease, that's the right. So when we drink water from rivers which have already been contaminated with sewages, we can get waterborne diseases like typhoid, jaundice, cholera, and dysentery, and even diarrhea. So we have to be careful about all these things. Now let's talk about another human activity that pollutes water bodies. So fertilizers used in agriculture. Since I've already explained this, okay, farmers use large amounts of chemical fertilizers in their field to increase crops yield. And these fertilizers they dissolve in water and run into what? Say, other water bodies. This can cause growth of tiny green water plants called algae in what pond. and these algae take up the dissolved water. They dissolve oxygen from what water, which have detrimental effect on what other aquatic life. So realize that these plants will be what fighting with what the fishes for oxygen, and this is very very bad. Okay, yeah. Now the other one is untreated industrial waste. This, I think in Ghana, you don't have problem with this. It happens in even some developed countries. Almost some industry produce toxic chemicals, okay, as their byproduct. Most industries, companies, they produce a lot of waste as their byproduct, okay, and these are called industrial waste. These untreated waste sometimes are discharged into water bodies, and this can pollute the water, okay. And so imagine someone going to bath in that water body, or people using that one as a source of drinking water. These people can fall sick because of what they are drinking. So passing untreated industrial waste into water bodies is very bad, and we should desist from such activity. Now let's talk about another human activity, that is pesticide used in agriculture. So pesticide, we use that to control what pesting in the farm or in our agricultural areas. Okay, so farmers use these toxic chemicals called pesticide on crops. This protect them against what pests, okay, and disease. And some of these pesticides dissolve in waters. Sometimes they are carried by run waters into the other source of water, like other water bodies like rivers and lakes. Okay, this poisonous pesticide kills aquatic animals like fishes. Okay, then the next one is using DDT for fishing. Some fishes are very very wicked. Actually, sorry for using that word. Some fishes do not try at all. Okay, some, how do I put it? They use DDT. Okay, they use DDT to catch some fish. Okay, DDT is very poisonous. What they do is that after putting the DDT in a water body and leaving it for some time, they will come and mix the fishes suspended on what the water bodies. Yeah, it is very very bad. It's very very bad. Another man will go and buy these fishes and eat, and at the end, this man will be what poison. Okay, yeah, you can die by eating what fishes which were killed by what DDT. Okay, so these are human activities that pollute what our water bodies. Okay, so now that we've identified the human activities that pollute our water bodies, now let us look at how we can prevent and minimize and even control water pollution. Okay, so the first one is that sewage should be treated properly at sewage treatment plants to make it harmless before discharging into nearby water. So we are saying that sewage should be treated, okay, it should be treated properly before it's allowed to be discharged into what a nearby river. Farmers should also use the right amount of fertilizers and pesticides in the field. Okay, we are encouraging farmers to use the right amount of fertilizers and pesticides in the field so that excessive amount of these agricultural products may not be washed into what the water bodies. And all the industry should treat toxic waste produced by them immediately and well to make them harmless before discharging them into rivers. So we are also encouraging industry companies to what to treat their products, their industrial products or industrial waste well before they are allowed to be discharged into what water bodies like rivers and water. Okay, should be treated well. Then another reason is that water pollution prohibition laws for industries producing toxic chemical waste should be implemented by what? The government. Okay, the government should implement laws that forbid um, industries from discharging industrial waste into what? Water bodies. This, not only these industrial or companies that this law should be targeting, it should target even individuals who connect their sewage to what? Water bodies. The law should ensure that these people are punished severely, and there should be public education. Okay, we should encourage people about the negative effects of um, water pollution. Yeah, we should encourage them to stop open defecation. We should encourage them to stop dumping refuse in water bodies, stop discharging industrial waste into what? The water bodies. People should be made aware of the harmful effects of water bodies. I think I've said that. So that is public education. So we should educate the public through the media. Okay, yeah, and in schools too, students should be taught on how to protect the environment. These people can also go home and be advising and be educating their friends and families. So now that we have talked about water, okay, water pollution, now I want us to look at air. Remember that when I was talking about the main topic, I mentioned water and air. For air, I've already defined it to you that air is a mixture of what? Gases. Okay. Air consists of 78% of nitrogen and 21% of what? Oxygen. Think less than 1% consists of carbon dioxide and what? Other gases. Okay, so clean air is the air that has no impurities. It has no harm. It has no harm, and it causes no harm to what? Living organisms. Clean air is good to breathe, okay, and it has no complication. Clean air is very important for our health, and it is very basic for life, okay. So we are going to look at how air becomes unhealthy or it becomes polluted. How the air becomes unhealthy and what? Polluted. Okay, the presence of harmful poisonous substance in the air is called air pollution. Okay, so when we have harmful or poisonous substance in the air, we describe that as what? Air pollution. So these harmful substances are called pollutants. Okay, so when we talk about pollutants, they are harmful substances. Okay, yeah, so these harmful substances very harmful to human beings, plants, and even animals. Okay, air get dirty due to various reasons. So in our next discussion, we are going to learn about the causes of what? Air pollution. So what causes air pollution? Remember that air pollution causes a lot of, it poses many risks to what? Our health. Okay, so let's identify the causes of what? Air pollution. Air pollution means a risk factor causing premature death in Ghana. So thousands of people, they gradually and continually die from what? Inhaling toxic gases. Okay, so let's look at the main cause of what? Air pollution. The first one is smoke from what? The exhaust pipe of vehicles. Okay, smoke from exhaust pipe of vehicles. Okay, truck, we have many vehicles in Ghana, taxi and truck. Okay, these are the domestic transport. Okay, so most of the time, some release poisonous smoke into the streets, and this causes what? Most of the air pollution. Okay, most of the vehicles, they release a lot of what? Poisonous gases into the streets, and this end up polluting people. Open burning of residential trash. Okay, so sometimes you see people burning um trash, okay, waste, burning it openly. Many areas in Accra, especially which is the capital of Ghana, and which is usually littered with trash, especially plastic. Because of this, poor waste management system. Residents sometimes burn these trashes and this end up polluting back the environment. It releases a lot of bad fumes into the atmosphere. Yeah, so it can affect people. And as I said, it poses some risk to our health. Okay. So you have biomass burning. So biomass burning emits heat, and especially inside homes. Okay. Now let's talk about the third one. That's from unpaved roads. Okay, this is common in Ghana. Most of the roads, okay, are not tarred. So you can imagine how the people living there are able to survive. Okay, and this is very severe when we are in the Hamatan season. It is severe in the Hamatan season. Okay, during the Hamatan season or the dry season, this road, it releases, or they produce a lot of dust. Okay, which when you are not careful, you can get respiratory disease. So we have to um, inform the government about it. The government must work on this to ensure that all the roads are paved or they are tarred. Okay, let's talk about some human effects of air pollution. Okay, some harmful effects of air pollution. So what are some of the effects air pollution has our body? Remember that I've already explained to you that air pollution poses risks to our health. So we want to look at some of these effects of what air pollution. So first one, air pollution produces large number of bad effects on humans and non-living things. Okay, so it causes a lot of health problem, health challenges. So it can kill animals and even plants. Okay, yeah. So we want to look at the long-term health effects from the air pollution. You have long-term and short-term. With the short-term, you can get catarrh. Okay, you can also get headache. Okay, yeah, sneezing and the like. All these are some short-term health effects from what air pollution. But I want to look at the long-term health challenges we get from air pollution. We have heart diseases is one, lung diseases too. Okay, lung disease. You can get pneumonia too. Okay, another respiratory disease like asthma, hay fever, and the likes. All these are caused by what? Air pollution. Okay. So long term, it can damage people, your nerve, your brain. Okay, it can damage your liver and your kidney. Okay, and other essential parts of your body. Because of that, you have to, as I said, clean air is the air that has low impurities in it. Okay, it has low level of what? Impurities. And clean air is very, very good. Okay, as living things, it's very good to breathe in good air. Okay, yeah, it is very, very important. And like I said, it is clean air is very, very important for our health. If you want to live longer, then one of the basic things you would need, aside water, drinking good quality water and eating well, you also need clean air, good air to us to breathe. Okay, so we are going to look at how the air can get polluted, how the air can get polluted. Because I've been saying it that we have to get what clean air. Okay, if we have to get good and healthy air, then first of all we have to look at how this air can get what polluted. Okay, so first of all we want to look at what air pollution is. So when we talk about air pollution is the presence of harmful poisonous substances in the atmosphere. Okay, so it's the presence of harmful poisonous substances in the atmosphere. That's what air pollution is. Okay, these harmful substances are referred to as what? Pollutants. Okay, so pollutants refers to the air pollutants are the harmful substance in the air which poses risk to the health of what living organisms. So like I said, it can affect plant, animals, and what humans. Okay, so it doesn't only affect we human beings, it affects other living organisms. Okay, like plants, animals. Okay, so polluted air is so impure that it poses risk to people's health, and it is one of the contributor to the number of chronic diseases. Okay, so we want to look at how air gets polluted. So air gets polluted in many ways, in many ways. So we are going to touch them one by one. Okay, we are going to take them one by one. So the first one is smoke from what? Vehicles. Smoke from vehicles. Smoke from vehicles. Okay, and in Ghana and other African countries, we have many commercial vehicles that are very old. Okay, and some releases a lot of poisonous gases from its exhaust pipe. Yeah, these poisonous substance poses risks to what the health of people. Yeah, so people should be advised to use new cars, and the government should also arrest people who drive cars that releases bad gases, more or high amount of what smoke. So another cause of air pollution is open burning of residential trash. Okay, if you go to some residential areas, especially the capital town of Ghana, you realize that because people produce a lot of waste, okay, we litter around. And sometimes we one of the ways we use to was to tidy around, okay, is to be burning, is to gather these waste and what setting it into fire. Okay, so as we are doing this, we pollute the environment, we pollute the environment. Okay, so because of the poor waste management system, residents sometimes burn trash, okay, in the open, and this bring or releases a lot of toxic fumes into the atmosphere. So we have biomass burning. Biomass burning is also one of the cause. You have that from unpaved road. So those from the unpaved roads too. We have harmful effects of air pollution. I want to talk about the harmful effects of air pollution. It has long-term and short-term health effects. The short-term health effects are sneezing, coughing, sometimes eyes will be dropping from your tears will be dropping from your eyes. Okay, you can, yeah, all these are short-term. Then with the long-term effects, you can get pneumonia, heart disease, um it can even affect your liver and your kidney. So it's very, very important. You can get lung problem and even lung cancer. Yeah, so we have to be careful and we have to take good care of our life. Okay, so we want to look at the do's and don'ts to keep the air clean and healthy. Okay, so what should we do and what are we not supposed to do? Okay, so first of all, you have to, oh, when you are at home, you have to open your windows, okay, office, to allow fresh air in. Okay, you have to open, just like I don't know if you can see it, I've opened my windows to allow fresh air in. Get a plant. We also have to get many plants around our areas. Okay, so I will advise people to be planting. Okay, get some plants around you. It always ensures that oxygen, okay, is available at your place. Okay, what the plants do is that during the sunny days or in the afternoon, they absorb carbon dioxide from us, from the atmosphere together with the energy from the sunlight to produce what? To produce food through a process called photosynthesis. During this process, they release what? Oxygen. And it's oxygen that we need. Okay, so we need more oxygen and lesser carbon dioxide. So we have to grow more plants around. Okay, So research have shown that common house plants such as spider plants, Chinese evergreen help fight indoors pollution. Okay, so you have to clean your place regularly. So this ensures that there is no dust in your place. Okay, dust can cause airborne diseases. Okay, so you have to clean around, ensure that there are no cobwebs, there are no dust in your area. Change air filters. Okay, so you have to change it regularly and use smokeless fuels. Okay, so some of these are using solar cookers. Okay, you have to be using them. It ensures that more smoke are not released into the atmosphere. You have to plant more trees. I think I've said that. So these are the do's. Now let's talk about the don'ts. The don'ts are the things that we are advised to abstain from. Okay. So the first one, do not use scented candles. Okay, so we shouldn't use scented candles that produce a lot of scent. Okay, we are advised against that. Okay, so if you use unnatural fragrance to cover odor, you are just adding more pollution inside and you will suffer. Okay, so do not use hazardous cleaners. Okay, some of the things we use to clean around, some are very poisonous and dangerous. Okay, so we shouldn't use that. And do not burn residential trash in the open. Okay, yeah, so don't openly burn residential trash. Okay, you have to gather it there and allow the waste management team to come and gather them and collect it. Okay, they will take it to a better place to what, to work on them. And do not burn firecrackers. Okay, do not smoke. Smoke is very bad. Okay, and it pains me a lot that when you look at the box that contains some cigarette, it's written there that smoke causes what, lung cancer. But it's very sad that people still they still smoke. Okay, they smoke weed, marijuana, and the likes. Okay, your life is very precious. It's very precious, and we will live only one. You only live once, and because of that, you have to what, be mindful of how you go about with other activity, how you live your life. Don't be careless. Okay, so do not smoke if you want to live long, and do not litter around. It add up to what, air pollution. Okay, so don't litter around. Okay, do not allow anyone to cut down trees without replacing them. So it means that you should discourage what, deforestation. We should discourage deforestation because it has negative effects on what, on our environment. Yeah. So in summary, in summary, we are saying that clean air is the air that has no harmful effect to man, and it doesn't poses any health risk to us. Okay, and we also talked about several causes of air pollution and several causes of water pollution. We looked at what air pollutants are and what water pollutants are. We also looked at what we should do to prevent water pollution and what we should do to prevent air pollution. Okay, so these are very important. Now that we've looked at water, now let us look at life cycle of what, plants. So now that we've talked about water pollution, I want us to look at water cycle, okay, or the hydrological cycle. Okay, now because of this, we want to look at the formation of rain. Okay, formation of rain. How rain forms. Okay, so like I said, water cycle is also called the hydrologic cycle or hydrological cycle, and it describes the continuous movement of water on, above, below the surface of the earth's surface. That's the definition of what, water cycle. So when we talk about water cycle, hydrologic cycle, we are looking at the continuous movement of water on, above or below the surface of the earth. Okay, so let's look at some key points. Okay, the first thing we talk about is evaporation. Evaporation. So when we talk about evaporation, what is evaporation? Evaporation is the process whereby liquid changes into what? Gas. Okay, liquid changes into gas. So in this case, water cycle, or regarding water cycle, evaporation is the process whereby water turns into what? Water vapor. So the sun is the ultimate source of energy. You have to understand, it's the main source of energy on Earth, and it powers most of the evaporation that occurs on what? Earth. Okay, so evaporation generally occurs when water molecules at the surface of the water bodies becomes excited and rise into the air. Okay, so when we talk about evaporation, we are saying that it occurs when the water molecule at the air surface, okay, it reprises and rises into what? Into the air. These molecules with the highest kinetic energy accumulate into what? Water vapor clouds. So this one will later on form into what? Clouds. Okay. Yeah, it will later on forms into clouds. Now, we also experience evaporation. So we are continuing with our lesson. So like I said, evaporation is very important. It's one of the key points in water cycle, and you have to understand that evaporation only occurs below the boiling point of water. It occurs below the boiling point of water. You also have to understand that evaporation can also take place in other living organisms like plants. But when it happens in plants, the name for it is transpiration. So evaporation that occurs in plants is called what? Transpiration. So transpiration is also the loss of water in plant. So this is where water in plant turns into water vapor, or it vaporizes. So now that we've talked about evaporation, let's move to the second point, that is condensation. Evaporation always goes with what? Condensation. So it is the, how do I put it, opposite of evaporation. So when we talk about condensation, what is condensation? I believe you would be asking. Condensation is the process whereby gas changes into liquid. So for evaporation, we said that liquid will change into what? Gas. But for condensation, it is the gas that changes into what? Liquid. So condensation is also a key point in water cycle, hydrological cycle. So when we have a temperature above 0.0 degrees Celsius, the vapor will condense into a very little water droplet. And you have to understand that it cannot condense without dust or other impurities. So the water vapor always attaches itself to the surface of the cloud. And you also understand when we have enough droplets, it will fall back as rain onto the ground. Okay, so it falls back as rain, and we call this process what? Precipitation. We call this process precipitation. So this basically, this is what causes what? Rain. First of all, evaporation must take place. When we talk about evaporation, like I said earlier, the water bodies and some living organisms. So for evaporation, as I said, the water bodies water bodies will vaporizes. This means it will vaporizes, especially when the sun heat hit it. Okay, not only that, there's other organisms like plants, animals. Yeah, we too will lose heat. uh So the heat will convert the water in these living organisms or in water bodies. Okay, to convert the surface of water bodies into vapor. But this vapor will move higher, and the higher it moves, the cooler it becomes. So as it moves higher, condensation will take place, and we learn that when it reaches a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius, it changes from the gaseous state to what? A liquid state, and it attaches itself with other impurities and dust. It also attaches itself with what? The cloud. And when a cloud becomes heavy, it forms back as what? Rain onto the ground. So basically, this is how rain forms. Okay, this is how rain forms. Now let's proceed. You have to understand that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but before that, evaporation must take place. Okay, so it evaporates at 0 degrees Celsius, but the boiling takes place at 100 degrees Celsius. And as the temperature increases, rate of evaporation also increase. So the rate of evaporation increases with what? Temperature. So this means evaporation is dependent on what? Temperature. Or the amount of evaporation depends on what? Temperature. And it also depends on the amount of water to what? Evaporate. And you also have to understand that evaporation takes place every day. It happens naturally or what? Artificially. Okay, so when water is left in a bowl, gradually it starts what? Reducing in size. Okay, so when it happens like that, then know that evaporation is what? Taking place. So the water evaporates into what? Water vapor. The gas phase of what? Water. The water too mixes with what? Water vapor will also mix with air, and they join the cloud. And because the temperature in the topmost part of the atmosphere is cool, it's able to cause condensation to what? Happen. So this is where condensation also take place. You also have to understand that boiling occurs at a particular temperature where the vapor pressure becomes equal with the atmospheric what? Pressure. So for boiling to take place, the vapor pressure must be equal to what? The atmospheric pressure. But boiling begins from what? The bottom of what? The container. Okay. So it does not cause a cooling effect. So another thing you also have to understand is that evaporation takes place spontaneously. Okay, at all temperature. So it takes place only from the surface of what? The liquid. Remember that for boiling, it takes place from the bottom of the container. But evaporation takes place from what? The surface of the container. But evaporation takes place slowly as compared to what? Boiling, which takes place at a faster rate. So boiling is a fast process, but evaporation is a slow process. And we also talked about condensation. We learned that boil water with what? We are looking at how we can observe this. That is condensation. So for you to experience condensation, we can boil water in a container. Okay, then we cover it with what? A lid.
And as the water changes into water vapor, this means after evaporation has taken place, the water vapor will as usual rise. Okay, and as it is rising, remember that the water vapor is already what? Hot, but it will come into contact with what? The cold plate, and this will cause the water vapor to turn into what? A tiny droplet of what? Water. We call this process what? Condensation. So condensation also takes place every day. Okay, it generally occurs in the atmosphere, and this is where the warm air rises and cools and loses its capacity to hold water vapor. So we can define condensation, or we can explain it as the change of liquid, or is the change of substance from a gaseous state to what? A liquid state. Okay, so we have many examples of condensation. We have many examples of condensation. The first example I'll mention is dew drops forming on what? Grass early in the dawn. Yeah, so the dews that appears on the grass and the surface of the wall early in the morning is the first example. And we have the second example as the water drops which forms on the glass holding a cold drink on a hot afternoon. So all these are what? Examples of what? Um, Condensation. And you have to understand that it is very, very essential in water cycle. And like I said earlier, it's the opposite of what? Evaporation. So condensation is very, very important because it is also the one responsible for the cloud formation. So to summarize today's lesson, okay, we started with what? The hydrological cycle. And we said that is the process where water moves from the surface above and below the earth's surface. We talked about how rain forms, and under it we mentioned some key factors. Okay, we mentioned some key factors like evaporation, condensation. We also talked about transpiration. Okay, so for evaporation, I define that as the process whereby liquid changes into what? Gas. For that is evaporation, and I made you to understand that it happens constantly. It happens constantly, anytime and everywhere. Okay, and it happens naturally and what? Artificially. Okay, it happens naturally and artificially. We also talked about condensation, and I made you to understand that it is vital in life. It is very, very important. Okay, we learned that it happens in the atmosphere when warm air rises and when it cools and loses its capacity to hold water. Okay, so condensation happens when there is a decrease in what? Temperature. Okay, so the rate of condensation, it increases when there is a decrease what? Temperature. Okay, so higher the lower the condensation, the lower the level of temperature or the rate of temperature, then the higher what? The rate of what? Condensation. Is different from evaporation. Remember that for evaporation we said that the higher the the higher the amount of the higher the rate of temperature, then the higher the amount of what? Condensation. But with the higher the with evaporation we said the higher the rate of temperature, then the higher the amount of what? Evaporation. But for condensation we said that is the opposite. So condensation increases with what? Decrease temperature. So let's take notice of this. So let me also emphasize on this that condensation is the opposite of what? Evaporation. So what this means is that when enough droplets, when enough droplets emerge and form bigger droplets, they will fall back as what? Rain on what? The earth's surface. And we said that this process is called precipitation. So this is how rain forms. This is how rain forms. So we have the clouds formation. We've talked about all these things. We also talked about what? Water vapor. So remember that water vapor too is also another component of what? Gases. For gases, I explained to you earlier that is gases are or is a mixture of what? Air is a mixture of gases. Air is a mixture of gases. So water vapor forms part of what? Air. But they are in a very small what? Quantity. They are in a very small quantity. We also talked about what? Clouds. And we were made to understand that clouds are mass of water drops, mass of droplets of water or ice crystals which are suspended in what? In the clouds. So clouds form when water condenses in the atmosphere. Yeah, it forms when water condenses in the atmosphere. So we also, okay, let me talk about the formation of what? Clouds. So clouds are formed when we have water in the sky, in that, yeah, in the sky. So the water will evaporate from the ground and they will move higher from other places, from many places. So this vapor, which was as a result of evaporation, okay, that has rise to the top, is always in a minute quantity. Okay, so the clouds will form when these air droplets, okay, which were formed from the water vapor, they come together. So at this point, the air is said to be saturated with what? Water vapor. The water will then be condensed around what? Things like impurities, dust, and ice. Yeah, it will join these things. Yeah, then they will fall back as what? Rain. And we said that we call this process what? Precipitation. So this brings us to an end of today's presentation. So if you have any question, you can ask it at the comment section. So I want you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, so that when I drop another video, you'll be the first person to see it. Bye.